Okay, hi everybody. This is Doughboy Cap. We're going to continue our Railroader How-To series with Over the Mountain. So we're here at Nantahala with a big through freight train, 40 cars, 2,000-ish tons. No way are we going to be able to make it up Red Marble with just our one engine. You can see, kind of sit with a level, how steep that is. It's like over 4%. Ain't happening. So what we can do, we can either make a whole bunch of trips up the hill. To the app, there's a siding at the top at the aptly named Topton Station, or we can add more engines. And I'm going to show you two different ways to do that. So number one, we can put an engine on the front, another engine on the front end, and MU the engines together. So basically, they run off the same throttle. So for that, we have our engine 566 here, sister engine to our 564. We're going to have him just back down right onto the head end of our train. These engines, by the way, are from the Lunar Locomotive Works generic locomotive catalog mod made by Marquette Creations. It's available on Nexus Mods. It's great. This is a huge catalog of engines, and then you can customize them. It's really neat. This particular design, they said, is based on a Northern Pacific engine, so kind of like the high headlight. Kind of tried to make it look like it. But then I also wanted the red doors and windows, so it looked like the base game engines. So I think it all comes together pretty well. Here we go. We're going in to make our couple. And a little more. There we go. Okay, so if it's go taking off now, this engine will be trying to keep the brakes on. Fighting against this engine, it won't work. So what we do is we link the air up. And then in the control panel on this engine, I'm going to hit cut out so that he won't be trying to use his brakes. And MU, so now his throttle will just kind of follow this one. And then we also have to put him in manual, and I usually put him in neutral. So now he'll just kind of follow the engine in front of him. And then one last thing I like to do, you press J and turn his headlight off. So, okay, so we have two engines now on this train. Pretty decent power. But looking at that hill up there, there's still no way. Just ain't going to happen. We need a little bit more. So the other way, we can add some power to the train. We go all the way to the back. All the way. We have our engine 907. Now, I use this engine as the pusher for the Red Marble grade. It is the Great Northern M2 2680, and I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the creator's name. I'll put a link on YouTube. I'm so sorry. Eilelwen. I don't know. I don't want to botch it any worse than that. I just think this has a great look as like a big, pusher engine for a steep mountain grade like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him tie onto the back end of our train. The exhaust is a little bit offbeat. I like that. It's cool. He's going to come nuzzling up to the back end here. Okay. I'm going to put him in manual. Set the throttle to neutral. I do not hook up the air. And we'll show why in a little bit. So we'll go back up to our head end. Oh, if you use the roster menu, 564, the crew even shifts to MU to show you that it's just being controlled by this AE, the auto engineer. Okay. So we have our engine 566. Make sure our switches look good. You can use the waypoint mode here if you want. Okay. Set into AE road, forward, 35. And once I've given him his instructions, I keep the control box for the helper engine open, 907. I'll have him start pushing just a little bit. Look, you can see when he starts pushing the steam, you can see his exhaust. Put him in neutral, exhaust goes away. Anyway, here we go. He's pushing. I want to go rocking too hard because the grade actually has a 25-mile-an-hour limit. If you go rocking right up to it, this engine will slam the brakes on and you're already on the back foot. You don't go off just a little bit. Pushing just a little. These engines were built as Malays. Malay engine is compound, uses steam twice. The Great Northern went on a kick where they took a bunch of their Malay engines and simpled them. Just made them it's a simple articulated engine. So it's two independent engines basically. It didn't work out so well on the 2.680s. They had a counterbalancing issue. Then slightly bigger 2.880s where it worked a lot better. See how much we've slowed down. I just like the look of a big mountain grade helper engine. Yeah, so basically just leave him on 100% throttle. And these Mikados, the drivers are pretty big, so going slow, it sounds like they're crawling. This is just about the steepest part of the grade, is right at the beginning. If you can be still in motion and make it to the first bridge, you're doing okay. How high up we are already. Hear how it almost kind of sounds like two different engines, because it is. So a Malay would be one boiler, right? You would pipe live steam, the high pressure cylinders, usually on the back engine. Steam would get used there. And the exhaust steam would go up into the forward engine, used again, and then go up the smokestack. So the Malay, only this engine is exhausting, so you would only hear one engine. On a simple engine, they're both exhausting, so they can sound a little bit out of beat sometimes. There are some people, and there are even some railroads, who called any articulated engine a Malay. It's really true. There's a lot going on, all the wheels moving around. So I was glad to find this on Nexus Mod. I was like, exactly what. then my little made-up railroad here called the Chesapeake, Carolina, and Gulf. It's because it has kind of southeastern sound to it. Because the game's set in like western North Carolina, so what a railroad that went through there would be called. I thought of like southeastern, but that's too easy. Anyway, so these engines, this class, are good for 56,000 pounds of tractor. So I number them in the 560 series. And then this guy is good for 107,000 pounds. But just stick with 900. I want to have one engine and 4 digits. And there is also a mod out there for different decorations for this engine, different liveries. I don't have it just because it required a bunch of other background mods that I don't already have. I kind of wanted to stick to only the ones I needed to use the Lunar Locomotive Works pack. This game that had never crashed on me in years of playing it. Since I started using mods, does chug and does crash sometimes. So I get nervous about having too many running. And this is kind of it. You leave your helper on full blast until you start getting up towards the top of the hill. Hop up to Topton Station real quick and just make sure switches are good up here. I think they are. Yeah. So Topton, very well named, is here. The top of the grade is in this cut. And you can kind of see how it levels off and then takes off down towards our train's coming up this way. It's a pretty steep hill. I forgot to do. I forgot to kill the headlight on the helper. Just shine it in the conductor's face. Look at the map and see how we're doing. We're getting towards the top. It's Graham County. Up here, the interchange with the Graham County Railroad. Shows where all our engines are. So we have our 2 road engines and now press train's making his almond stop. That's another episode. like on this mod, and I think the helper has it too. This firebox flicker. It's kind of neat. Does the helper have it? Yeah, there it is. Sandbox on the front? Yeah, it is. It just looks like it means business, doesn't it? So Graham County Pulpwood is where you get your pulpwood for Snowbird Paper, one of the big customers in Andrews, where this train's headed. Still good on coal and water, yeah, we're good. So yeah, we didn't have any problems on this grade that better part of a 250,000 pounds of tractor driver couldn't fix. You know? I found a picture somewhere of the Southern on this grade running a train up the hill with 6 of their big 280s. This game calls it a C46. 6 of them. 2 up front, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the back end, or something like maybe 7. I don't know. So we're not out of bounds here at all, is my point. This is another kind of steep part. Big bridge. See if we can see them both. Oh, yeah, you can, sort of. Our engine's here, and there's the helper way back there. It's not just the grade either that's killing you. Here it's the curves. Curves add friction harder for cars to get through. Railroads built in older times, like pre-Civil War era, which I think is around when this was. This may have been a little bit later. Anyway, they would build curves into their route on purpose because trains going downhill had such a hard time braking. You could use the curves to help slow down. Of course, the downside was if you really screwed up your braking and the train ran away, with the sharp curves are going to be where you're going to derail. But life is a series of trade-offs. thing about a longish train like this is you come to a really steep part of the hill. It takes a long time to get into it and a long time to get out of it. So even after your head end is long past it, the heavy bit in the middle of your train might still be on. You gotta just gotta be patient with it. I wanted to watch that over the hill bridge, but that's okay. It's pretty good that time. Levels out a little bit before you really go over the summit, so we'll start picking up speed. Okay. As we start picking up speed, we usually let it get up to around 20. Coupler, use the throttle off, and then put your brakes on. That's it. Freight train goes rolling away. And the helper, just put him in reverse. Let him head down the hill. And that's it. That's helper service and railroader. We'll let the helper head back down to wait for the next train. And we'll get going here. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.